Happy post-birthday to me. I'm going to be demure and not reveal my age, but yesterday was my birthday, and I'm going to share my birthday gift opening with all of you, or the handful of you that actually watch this. And providing I have enough recording time, I'm also going to reveal the secrets of obtaining inexpensive Japanese anime merchandise they don't want you to know. Now, I don't know who they is, but the reality is that I don't hear very often about people making use of the Mangarake online service. So this box, to be forthright, cost me just under $150 shipped. So the interior contents of this box cost about $80, and the EMS shipping was about $60. Now, I'm aware that you may gawk or balk at $60, but I'll explain that provided I get to it. So, I'm aware that in one of the neat aspects of unboxing videos is what kind of neat knife someone's going to use. And so I'm just going to show off that I could if I wanted to, but why should I if I have a proper device? So let's open this up. As I've mentioned, this is actually merchandise that I personally selected, although actually not a whole lot of it is for me personally, but again, I'll explain. So let's get into this, and once I get this open, I'll move the box out of the way so you can see that it's pretty well packed. And then you can see the Mangarake individually packs every single item. So, let's see. First of these, if I can get this unwrapped enough to show it off, is the Isabella Rossellini, or one of the Isabella Rossellini figures from Lupin III, Part 4. Well, she's also in Part 5, but I believe this is the Part 4 figure. This, Actually, I don't recall the specific prices, but I'm aware that this was somewhere around $4, I think, before shipping is what this cost me. We'll deal with some of the larger items, I think, first, because they're the easiest to get out of the box. Some of you may be aware that every year I attend the Tampa, Florida area Necronomicon Fantasy Convention. I do that because part of tradition, and I attend as a dealer because dealer tables are extremely affordable. So I tend to try to purchase some extra goods in addition to my excess to put on a dealer table to sell there. Now this is actually a much more sizable box and presumably sizable figure than I anticipated. But as you can tell, that this is a silica noodle stopper figure from Sword Art Online. If you're unfamiliar with what these are, when you have a package of cup noodles, you peel the top open, pour in hot water, close the top again, and then wait for 3 minutes. Well, the steam, of course, blows the paper top open, so this figure is designed to sit on top of the cup noodles to prevent the steam from opening the top. So it keeps your cup noodles cooking effectively for 3 minutes. This is a figure that was, again, under $10, so my intention is to take this in October to the Necronomicon convention and sell this for, I don't know, perhaps $15, because I tend to sell items pretty affordably. But even at that price, it's still possible for me to make a good sale and make a little bit of profit. I mentioned that some of these items are actually not for me. This was the most expensive item that I purchased. This is actually a gift, a birthday gift, for one of my closest friends, or actually you could say my best friend. he happens to collect the 8-inch scale Bandai Godzilla monsters, and he's close enough to a set that the only ones that he's missing are exceptionally rare, even in Japan, and or they are exceptionally expensive. So I end up typically having to try to purchase some of the exclusives. These are the convention exclusives, the theater exclusives, the event exclusives, because they come in typically alternate solid translucent colors, or in the case of, for example, this figure, as you can see, it comes in a dual blue and white color. This does have his tag. His tag is not in flawless condition, but the tag is in pretty good shape, considering that it's 16 years old. But once again, otherwise, other than the tag being very slightly beat up, you can see the figure is in excellent condition. This figure was, I believe, $35, which is probably about half of what it would retail for on eBay. Part of the reason why this was relatively cheap is because Japanese collectors are fanatics. So they determined that there was some warping, I think right here. On camera, you probably can't even tell. To me, when I look at it here in person, I can easily denote this as just a factory flaw. If a flaw at all, this could be just part of the sculpting. But for whatever reason, Japan considers that a damage and therefore reduces the price of the figure. So this will be a birthday gift for a friend, as I mentioned. Wow. The biggest item in here is even more sizable than I anticipated, so I'll save that. This particular purchase was made from the Fukuoka warehouse, and I will explain why that's the case. But since I was ordering, I ensured myself that I would purchase a bunch of relatively cheap doujinshi. So I will show off what some of these are. To save some time at the moment, I'm not going to, well, depending on the time, I won't necessarily open them. But as far as I'm aware, these particular doujinshi, all of which were anywhere from 50 cents to $1, are actually Genga collections. In other words, the animators that worked on, for example, Railgun, or Tenchi Muyo, or SAO, are like American comic book artists, which means that after they draw their frames of animation, the art is theirs to keep. The studio has no interest in it any longer, so these artists then go to themselves, to their local print shop, and print up doujinshi-style books of their frames of animation art. This one in particular, I may actually open up very quickly, because if I recall correctly, this one is actually by Tex-Mex. Some of you who are into the doujinshi scene, or by coincidence, may recognize that the name Tex-Mex is the doujinshi circle name for Rei Hiroe. So, Rei Hiroe, I'm presuming I'm getting this one right. Rei Hiroe is the creator of Black Lagoon. And so what have we got here? That's Soul Eater? Folks, am I correct? Is that Patty? Is that Patty from Soul Eater? Remember, I'm looking at this upside down for the first time myself, hoping that there's nothing especially crude within here. And it's hard for me to recognize what some of these are when I'm looking at it upside down. I believe, is that Infinite Stratos? I believe that's Infinite Stratos. It's a little bit racy, but then, again, that is what Infinite Stratos is. There's some Dr. Slump. So I believe that's what most of these doujinshi are their illustration collection books published by animators. Or, yes, Pokemon. And this, in particular, is the item that I made the order for. I imagine that relatively few of you will recognize what this is, but this is a very long overdue purchase of mine. The character designer for the 1985 Dirty Pair series, Chikasu Dokite, has a doujinshi circle called Studio Jaipang. Studio Jaipang, or Chikasu Dokite, published 3 doujinshi collections of his own Dirty Pair illustrations. These particular books are very difficult to come by because they're from the mid-1980s and because they were printed in relatively small numbers. Now, for reference, this particular book, Relics, has currently 1 copy. Well, actually, sorry, there's some early Dirty Pair flash designs there. So you know that this is probably from the later 80s or perhaps early 90s. There is 1 copy of this doujinshi available on eBay currently. It started out from a Japanese seller about 2 years ago at $150. The Japanese seller has gradually lowered the price to the point that now it is $84. So keep in mind that I mentioned that this entire order was only about $80. So this book, actually from Mandarake, only cost $20. So I say only because in comparison to the 50 or 5,000 yen that it typically retails on Yahoo Japan auctions, or the 80 plus that it retails on at eBay, 2,000 yen is very, very affordable. So this is one of the grails, I could say, of my Dirty Pair collection. And one of the reasons why I had to purchase from the Fukuoka warehouse, because it was only the Fukuoka warehouse and the Umeda warehouse that had it available. Now the last item that I have in here is, as you can see, much bigger than I anticipated. This is a figure, a Good Smile figure, that I purchased for, I believe, $10? I think this was only 1,000 yen. And I did not know anything about it. I didn't know exactly how large it was. And I bought this figuring that I would take it to the Necronomicon convention in October and perhaps put it up for $20. But as you can see, it's quite a gorgeous, sizable Unity May figure. Her flowery robes come as separate pieces. And as you can see, this is a second-hand figure. However, it's, as far as I can tell, in store shelf condition. The figure is, let's see, do I see a price on it? I don't see a price on it, but I believe this is a 7,800 yen figure. In other words, I believe that with currency exchange, this is around a $75 figure. And I didn't know that at the time I made the order, but I only knew that it looked like a gorgeous figure and it was only $10. So, the things that I can tell you, if orders like this fascinate you, let me tell you some of the secrets of purchasing from Mandarake. You may have balked at or may have been intimidated by purchasing from Japan, because if you're buying from companies like Yahoo Japan Auctions or Melon Books or Toranoana, you have to use a proxy service. They don't sell directly to international customers, which means that you have to pay a middleman to buy for you, which means that you not only have to pay for the item cost and the shipping, you also have to pay a middleman to make the purchase for you and do incidental transitional shipping from the Japanese retailer to the middleman to you. So proxy buying tends to be very frustrating, very elaborate of a process. However, companies like Mandarake and Surigaya will sell directly to international customers. But there are certain aspects that you need to be aware of. For one thing, when buying from Mandarake, Mandarake has 12 warehouses. Purchasing from each warehouse incurs a separate shipping fee. So, for example, if you buy items from the Sahar or Nakano warehouse and from the Fukuoka or Grand Chaos warehouses, you'll pay 2, 3, or 4 different shipping fees. So if you're buying from Mandarake, I highly encourage you, choose just one particular warehouse and make sure that you buy everything from the same warehouse. My recommendation is the Sahar warehouse. The Sahar is their buyback warehouse, and in my experience, it's the Mandarake outlet which has the by far widest selection of merchandise available. For example, the Sahar warehouse does carry a very limited amount of original art, which is not available in any of the other Mandarake warehouses. When you buy from Mandarake, it's very similar typically to the process of eBay buying by requesting a combined invoice. When you purchase from Mandarake, you'll put everything into your cart, you'll hit purchase, and then anywhere from a day to 3 days later, you'll receive an email message that lists what is in stock and a total price including shipping. Now, of course, you'll have to stipulate what variety of shipping you want in advance, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But you won't know until you actually get an invoice what your total cost is, so I do encourage you to keep that in mind and make sure that you have enough money on hand to pay for shipping. As you can see, this is a medium-sized Mandarake box. The boxes do come one size larger than this, and in my experience, the largest size box typically runs about $100 for EMS shipping. As I mentioned, this one was just over 7 pounds, and this one cost $60 in EMS shipping. That might sound intimidating, that might sound like a hefty amount, but consider that this was shipped on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It was on my doorstep on Tuesday. So that's how quickly it arrived from Japan. Considering that you could get to Tokyo in about a day at a cost of $1,000 or more, having a package this size arrive to you in less than a week for $60 seems very affordable. Moreover, another trick that I've learned from experience is buy in bulk. Consider that you could purchase 3 or 4, say you purchased 5 large figures like this, and they came in a large box, and the shipping was $100. Well, that would make, on average, each of these figures $30 out of pocket. Well, that's still a really good deal, considering that this figure is 7,800 yen. However, imagine that you buy 100 items in a large box that cost you $100 in shipping. Well, now you've only added $1 to each item in the shipping cost. So this $4 item only cost me $5 out of pocket. This $5 item only cost me $6 because I'm dividing up the cost of the shipping over a variety of items. Let me caution you that it does work that way because your initial shipping fee is going to be substantial. Buying just one item alone is automatically going to cost you at least $25 to $35 in shipping. But supplementing, if you're paying for the first pound, it's going to be $25. But to add another pound might only cost another $10. Adding another pound might only cost another $10. So the more you buy, the cheaper it becomes per item in shipping. Furthermore, I do recommend EMS shipping. Mandarake will offer you the option of DHL or airmail or SAL. Now, SAL, for example, might be very tempting because it will seem more affordable. However, consider that with SAL shipping, you might wait a month, literally a month and a half, to receive your purchase. That's a lot of time for your box to get banged around, tossed around, damaged, potentially lost. Furthermore, the difference in shipping cost between particularly airmail And express mail is not as much as you may think. In my experience, the difference between airmail, for example, which might get to you in 2 weeks, week and a half, versus EMS is probably going to be maybe $20, a difference of $15. Considering that that's roughly the cost of a decent dinner at Burger King or Wendy's or White Castle, I'd rather spend that extra $15 or $20 and get my purchase in under a week and know that it's in my hands, that it hasn't suffered any damage. It's worth the relatively small extra cost for EMS shipping. Now, I have not personally used DHL, but my understanding, what I've read, is that shipping by DHL vastly increases the chances that your package will be opened and examined by customs. So if you want to avoid that possibility, you're probably better off choosing EMS shipping. Because I'm a low-paid, I will admit that, low-paid college teacher, I can't afford to make large purchases very frequently, but I do try to make at least one or perhaps two such Mandarake purchases a year. So I'm hoping to possibly make one more such purchase in September. And if that happens, I can assure you it will probably be more than double the size of this purchase. This purchase was primarily just so I could get this highly personally desired Dirty Pair book. So that's why I made a relatively small order to one of the offshoot warehouses rather than the Sahar warehouse that I primarily order from. But check back, because should I be able to manage a new order next month, I'll gladly do this again and hopefully give you something both informative and enjoyable to watch. I don't want to pester, but if you do find videos like my occasional recordings and the Anime Nation forum enjoyable, I do want to beg you, honestly, to consider contributing to keeping the Anime Nation forum online. I will admit this honestly that the Anime Nation remainders, for example, Gene and I, receive no money whatsoever from Patreon contributions. That money goes entirely to keeping the Anime Nation forum afloat. So if you enjoy the forum, I encourage you to consider contributing whatever amount you can. We're very grateful. Furthermore, if you want to interact with me, I'm always happy to talk to fans. Feel free to speak to me via email or through the Anime Nation forum. If you have any questions about purchasing from Mandarake or these items, certainly I'd be happy to discuss that with you in more detail. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope you'll tune back in next time.